Hi guys, this is Victor with Norma CPA, and it's great to see you again. In today's video, guys, I want to talk to you about what would be, in my opinion, some of the changes, the top 10 changes that are going to have an impact on existing PPP loans, right? So the point number one that I would like to, talk to you about is the actual expenditures that, are covered in the PPP new legislation. So we all know that in the first round and the second round, 75% of the funding needed to be spent on payroll, and the difference we need to be spent on rent, utilities, etc. Correct? Now the new legislation is allowing you to actually cover the expenses related to the operations of your business beyond payroll, beyond rent, and beyond utilities. That is very important. Okay. Number two is another expenditure related to your property which has been damaged. Okay, so if your property has been damaged, you can utilize some of your PPP funding to cover the repairs of your property, right? And this could be either personal property or this could be real property. Okay, another expense, guys, that I believe is vital for every single business, regardless whether you're in the service industry or whether you are in the supply chain business, etc., is the cost related to suppliers, right? And these expenses are very important, right? So, for instance, if you own a restaurant, you need to buy inventory from your suppliers. If you're running an organization which needs to run on software, you need software. You need to pay your suppliers for software. If you have people that are doing work for your business, they are suppliers, right? So this is very important because there was a lot of lobbying happening in Congress to have some of these expenses, and suppliers is definitely one of them. And another expense, guys, that is very important, especially now during COVID, is we all know we have seen many changes in the layouts of offices, buildings, and different organizations in order to protect the employees and protect the clients and customers. So any expenses that are related to making sure your employees are safe and your customers are safe and protect them from COVID and so forth, these expenses are covered in your existing PPP loan. Point number two, guys, which is very, very important in your business. So changes in the tax implications of your PPP loan. Okay, listen to this, it's very important. Changes to the tax implications of your PPP loan. Okay, so number one, the amount of money that is forgiven in your loan is not going to be taxable. Okay, so the amount of money that you received from the government can be not taxable. Of course, there's a process that, when you're submitting for forgiveness, there's a process for that, right? On that application. But in general, the amount forgiven is not subject to tax. And point two on that tax implication, the expenses that you covered with your PPP loan are tax deductible. Okay? So number one, the loan that you received is not taxable, right? So it's not income subject to tax. And number two, the expenses which you covered with that money are still deductible for tax purposes. So it's very important. The tax implications are very generous to the small business community. Point number three, guys, the application for forgiveness of your PPP loan, if your loan is $150,000 and below, has been simplified by only one page. Okay, so the application for forgiveness, if your loan is only $150,000 or less, the process has been simplified to only one page. Now, that doesn't mean that you can just go ahead and spend the money on whatever it is that you want, right? That is not the intention. That is not what we're implying here for you to do, right? What I'm telling you is that the forgiveness application basically has been simplified just because there's so many loans that the SBA needs to process and every bank has to process and for forgiveness applications and so forth, right? So now, if your loan is $150,000 or less, the process is simpler, versus if you obtain a loan of $1 million or $2 million, right? You still have to comply with the guidelines, but the application for forgiveness has been, simplified if your loan is $150,000 and less. So this is point number 4, guys. Employee retention credit. So basically, borrowers of PPP loans are eligible to obtain a credit for retention of employees. Picture this. The government has been able to help you to, keep and sustain your business by keeping your employees employed. At the same time, is giving you a credit for retaining and keeping your employees. Okay, guys, so point number 5. And this applies to borrowers of more than $2 million, right, on existing PPP loans. Okay, so you understand that the higher the amount of the PPP funding, chances are that the of an audit be granted, right? And that's okay, right? Because the funding, it's going to be used for legitimate business purposes, correct? Now, so the legislation applies to the existing PPP loans of more than $2 million, right? So the law says that there will be a due process, in which will inform the borrower on what the process would be, and the information that needs to be provided should an audit be in place. The value of this is that it gives you guidance and a roadmap, right? Should you had applied for more than $2 million in PPP funding, on what the process will be should an audit happen.